Hi there, I'm Glenn Skidmore and I make maple syrup. Now here we are at a sugar maple tree. We're going to tap this tree. We're going to use 3 different methods. We're going to use the gas drill, we're going to use the lithium ion drill, and we're going to use the antique brace and bit method. When I'm looking at this tree, I'm looking for a nice strong bole, B-O-L-E, from the trunk to the branches. I'm looking up to the top. I see a nice strong crown on it. There's not a lot of dead wood up top. What I'm looking for is root growth that's coming from the ground up into the tree. And I know there's a good strong pathway of sap coming up through the center and back down on the outside of the tree, and I'm going to drill into the whitewood. What I want to do is make sure that I have a good compass direction on this tree. You can argue with like a politician's banquet that it matters so much where you drill on the tree, but it's really not a strong science to determine where north is, where south is, and then drill basically from southeast to southwest. So this side of the tree, from here to here. You can see the light on the tree and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a compass on my watch. I activate, press compass, and there we go. We can find north. There we are. There's north right there, this way. And we know this is the south side of the tree, so we're going to go from the southwest side. So now that we've chosen the tree where we want to tap, I want to clean a little bit of an area off the tree, so to take off some of the roughened bark. I'm not going to damage the tree. I'm just going to take a little bit of bark off. So we've chipped a nice clean spot off so that we have a good seated spile. We start our gas motor. The drill going. What we're drilling in here is a 7/16 hole, and we're going to stay at about a 10-degree slope so that the sap runs out of the tree. And I'm going to go 3 inches into the sapwood. A tree 10 inches to 15 inches, we only go 2 inches into the sapwood, but this one will handle 3 inches. So we lower the drill about 10 degrees, and I'm going to go in 3 inches. That's the length of this drill bit. We check our spile hole for any debris in there, and we don't see any. So what I have here in my pocket is a couple of very ancient spiles, and this is made out of cast iron. And here we have 2 different types. We're going to put this one in first. We're going to insert it in and give it a little tap, and this is what you do. You just tap it in. You don't want to hammer it in like a nail because you'll split the wood around it. So in we go like that, and give it a little tap. There it is. And look at that come out. It's just magical. Now we're going to stay in a spiral pattern. This is my center. I'll go down several inches down into this area and clean a little. Now with the brace and bit, we want to make sure that we stay nice and level as we're drilling in. We don't want to make an oval hole because that will create leakage. So we have to be very, very careful to keep this bit steady as we drill into the tree. Remember our 10-degree grade downspout. We're using that old spile, and in we go. Nice and slow, there's no rush. And we're going to go in 3 inches. I'm not pushing very hard, I'm letting the drill do the work. I'm letting this bit cut. I don't want to force it. 2 inches. There we go. See this white wood? It's getting nice and wet. Now we back it off half a turn and pull. comes out. Nice. We're going to give it a little tap in here. We want to seal. Oh, it doesn't. Let's give it. I don't want to break it, so I'm going to go a little stronger. There we go. So here we are. Now we're going to use the modern method. This is the method that I use, and it's the lithium battery. I can drill 100 holes, never lose battery power. This is a great unit. I'll make another one. See, I'm staying with my spiral pattern, and right here, good. Don't have to chip off too much of it. I've got a nice root coming up from the ground, so this return sap is going to be flowing through here, hopefully as good as these two. Now remember our rule, we want to be 10 degrees slope and drill in the full length just to the end of the bit. Pull a little debris out, pull a little debris out, clean it. And now we're going to add in a metal modern spile. So this is the end that goes in the tree, of course. So now I have to put this on, get this to, there we go, like that. We want the hook facing out towards the mouth. And then in we go, center it nicely, and then we give it a little tap with our axe. Remember, we're tapping, we're not hammering. There we go. I haven't split the wood up and below. Man, that's delicious. Now I know why they're selling this in stores now as a health drink. It's delicious. It has nutrients, it has compounds, it has minerals, it has enzymes in it that are very helpful to the body. What I'd like to talk about is the health of the tree after the spile is removed at the end of the season. What happens is the spile hole heals over within 2 to 3 years. What you don't want to do is over tap a tree and create large stains within the tree. About the size of an American football is what gets stained in there, and to 4 inches deep. It takes about 4 years for that to go away. There will always be a mark on the white wood inside that has a spile stain or small hole where you can tell it was tapped 30 years ago, 50 years ago. That grows within the tree. It may end up deeper inside the tree as the tree expands and grows and its circumference becomes greater. So don't worry about pulling these out. So I used to cork the tree, put a cork in after I was done, and then I stopped. And I found that the trees that I hadn't corked healed quicker than the ones with the cork in them. Cork's foreign to maple, to the sugar maple. So maybe that's one of the reasons that they didn't heal so well. Let's get some buckets on these because I'm becoming slightly irritated by letting all of this sweet sap fall on the ground. If you notice, if you had a look inside of each pail, you would notice the cleanliness of each pail. Now, what's important is that sap has sugar in it, and sugar will mold. So if you don't clean your pails every year, what happens is you get a buildup of mold inside, and that can actually come through in the flavor after you boil. So every year, be particular about keeping everything nice and clean. What I want to do is make sure that I boil this today. If I didn't boil it, it will start to turn a milky color and come off and turn sour because of fermentation, oxidization. You're now exposing this sap to the environment, and there's mold everywhere. So this tree is basically couldn't be cleaner inside and up through the ground. One interesting fact is that a tree this size, its root mass spread out through the forest floor here, the small fine hairs that are in the root mass, there's 200,000 kilometers of root hairs in this one tree, picking up all of this delicious moisture and turning it into delicious sap. So once we have our buckets attached and our spiles dripping harmoniously, what we do is we put a lid on to protect them from the weather. So on goes the lid, make sure all the way it goes in, and there we are. Now we have protection from rain and snow and whatnot, debris, insects, moths do get inside. We'll have a look at that. Another little thing that some people still do, but I don't see it very often anymore, is to help the spile heat up in the morning. We'll pull this one. I have to use my axe here. Come on out, baby. So this is just cut out from an inner tube. We slip it over top. We put the spile back in. Give it a little tap with the hammer. We don't want to split the wood here, remember. This sits back here. On goes our hook. And on goes the bucket. But this little rubber grommet on here that sits within the spile, what it does, it helps the spile heat up and prevents it from staying frozen longer in the morning. So it'll release sap a little earlier. Now, when we tap a tree, we like to tap it when the bark is frozen. About -3 to -4 degrees, we get a nice clean cut. Not a lot of microbial growth occurs because everything is frozen. 3 or 4 days after a tap is put into the tree, the sapwood inside starts to darken a little bit. So we may get a little bit of discoloring in our sap. When that occurs, either change your tap hole or abandon it. Any discoloring in your sap will create an off flavor in award-winning maple syrup.